Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Cade Museum, here for our Rotary Club of Gainesville meeting for February 2nd, 2021. Please stand, if you will. My name is Tom Collette, your Sergeant at Arms for the Rotary Club this year. And what we will ask that if you are here on site, mute your telephones. Those of you watching on Zoom, do the same thing. If you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, we ask that you please register your participation by sending an email to us at info@rotarygainesville.org. We begin today, as we do often, every meeting that is, with song and pledge. And here to offer us a song with accompaniment today is Pete Enwall.
Let me introduce our newest addition to the musical scenario here at the Cade. Gordon Hubble on the keyboard. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, I want to tell you before I lead the song that I went to the Millhopper post office the other day, and there was a homeless guy that was standing out there with a squeegee, and I told him I didn't want my car squeegee, my window squeegee. And he said, well, if I tell you a joke, will you give me $1? So I said, yeah. So a homeless guy went into the public library, walked up to the desk and said, I'd like a cheeseburger and a Coke. And the librarian looked at him and said, sir, this is a library. Hold it down. He said, oh, I'm sorry. I'll take a cheeseburger and a Coke. That's it. We're going to sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pete. You can applaud Pete if you'd like, everybody.
Please don't throw anything.
Double vision. Before our invocation today, ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in welcoming to the podium for a special remembrance our President, Matthew Braddy.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I regretfully am here interrupting the normal flow today because we had sad news yet again this week. Rotarian, great friend, bigger than life smile. It's fitting that, more so than ever, we're going to ring the bell here in a minute with a moment of silence, but ringing the bell for, the champion every year, ringing the bell, Tommy Thompson, who's no longer with us as of Sunday. So please remember his wife, his daughter, and family in your thoughts and prayers. And we're going to ring the bell with a moment of silence, and then Catherine Fluck Price will then at that time lead us in invocation.
Eternal God, we give you thanks for the life and resurrection of Tommy Thompson. We thank you for the witness he was, for his commitment to his family and friends, his commitment to service as shown in his loyalty to Rotary. In this time of loss, hold his wife, Shirley, and daughter, Lori, in your tender care. Fill them and all of Tommy's friends and loved ones with your strength and comfort, particularly in these days and weeks ahead. As we give thanks for the 44 years of marriage Tommy and Shirley had together, we give thanks today for Dr. Brown and her willingness to share about marriage and family life. In these times when our country and communities continue to struggle with division and volatility, we know that peace and unity often begin in our homes. Help each of us as individuals and as Rotarians to embody love and unity, hope and reconciliation, service and community, first in our homes and then radiating out to our community and our country. We give you thanks. Amen.
Before we get to our introduction of guests today and visiting Rotarians, if we have any, it's time once again, I know you're thrilled and waiting for it, to enter the groan zone again with our poet, John Gregory. Give him a hand, everybody.
Okay, today's poem is called No Shadow of a Doubt. The groundhog was fat and rather stout. What was expected of him, he'd be about. He gave his forecast, weeks of winter will last. He gave it without a shadow of a doubt. The greenskeeper wanted a gun to make the groundhogs run. He would like to get, it made him upset when the groundhog made a hole in one. Groundhogs have no feathers to be plucked, but eagles have voices that are clucked. Where eagles may soar, and pretty they are, but into jet engines, groundhogs don't get sucked. If an FSU player would somehow fall in love with a female groundhog, y'all, most people would say the offspring could play and get 6 more weeks of bad football. Go Gators.
Thank you very much, John. Don has the wireless mic, so we'd ask for our guests to please stand. Along with your Rotarian who's brought you here today. And Don has the mic.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'd like to introduce my partner, Dalton Baker, who is hopefully going to join us soon.
And we do have a very special guest with us today from Amman, Honorary Secretary, Lumna Fahuri. Let's welcome her today again. Up next, since it's our first meeting here in February, it's time for our birthday roll call. If you're here today joining us live in person at the Cade Museum, we ask that you please bring your dollar up. Actually, you can give it to Matthew over there. Raise your hand, Matthew. Everyone see where he's seated. These are our member birthdays here in the month of February. Ed Ellett, Danielle Ware, Joe Anderson, Dana Miller, Stacy Scott, Eric Spivey, Jonathan Turner, Buddy Goodman, Richard Allen. I got to say this one. Joseph Antonio Dominich Jr., Cooper McCormick, Patsy Thomas, Tammy Broxson, Amber Miller, and our pianist, Gordon Hubble.
Gordon Hubble, yes.
So once again, we turn the microphone over to Pete Enwall as we sing happy birthday to our fellow Rotarians.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, fellow Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. And in memory of Charlie, Charlie's still with us, but he's not here. In memory of Charlie and many more.
Thank you, Pete. Now we go to Zoom for our singular announcement today. TJ Pache, go ahead, it's yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. We had a really great time last weekend at the University of Florida doing a walking tour of its master plan. We had about 15 folks with us, and it was a wonderful, if a little cold morning, to get out and see all of the exciting things happening at UF. This month, we have 2 opportunities. One's on the 20th, the other is on the 27th. On the 20th, we're going to be doing a river cleanup, a Santa Fe River cleanup with Current Problems, which is a local nonprofit that is dedicated to keeping our waterways clear. If you're interested in coming to that, please email me or text me. I sent an email yesterday and I'll be sending another one. The kayaks and canoes are free for this, but if you do sign up, we really ask that you make an effort to come because there is a cost associated with it, but they're graciously covering it. And then on February 27th, we're going to be doing a construction site tour of Santa Fe College's new Blunt campus with Mike Walsh from Parish McCall, who's a member of the Thursday Morning Club. I'll be sending out information about that, but we really do encourage you to come. Should be a wonderful opportunity to see in advance something that I really think is going to change the entire downtown landscape. And a lot of folks I know agree with that. So we look forward to seeing you. We hope you're able to come out, and please reach out if you ever have any ideas for other events. Thank you.
Thank you very much, TJ. And before we bring our president up, I just want to have an informal poll here of our gathered here at the Cade Museum. Who is predicting that the Tampa Bay Bucks will win the Super Bowl this weekend? Raise your hand. Okay. How about who's then polled here today for the Kansas City Chiefs? I would imagine the remainder. Some of you didn't even vote. Okay. I've learned through the years, though, don't ever bet against Tom Brady. So that being said, let's bring up our president of your club, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the podium here at the Cade Museum, Matthew Brady.
Yeah, I know, as restart. My bad. So, all over again. So, welcome today. What a great day. Beautiful day outside, beautiful facility. You know, I was thinking coming today how, you know, we've dealt with so much over the past year and we talk about all those different things, but then so many times if we stop and really look, some really cool stuff is unfolding before us too. You know, terrible news losing Tommy, and definitely do not want to you know, overshadow that, but there's great stuff around us. It's great that we can be here together making progress with vaccines, and the time that more people can come back is tremendous. You know, it's kind of cliche and it's kind of hokey sometimes, but truly, you know, that coin, Rotary opens opportunities. And that's the theme this year from, you know, this Rotary year. And I'm going to mix things up a little bit because when we talk about great things around us, I want to mention a quote from one of our Rotarians I just read in the past couple of days. I believe in the mission of the Cade to spark wonder and event possible. As a child, I read the biographies of Ben Franklin, Marconi, Alexander Graham Bell, Wright brothers, and Sikorsky. Visiting the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia and the Museum of Natural History in New York City filled me with wonder. My childhood interests are addressed right here in Gainesville by the Cade. I believe it will attract our young people to the STEM fields. Gainesville native and inventor Tony Barr and his wife Olga completed a $1 million donation to the Cade Museum here in our community. And I wanted to recognize Tony for that. And I'm going to ask Tony to come forward, please. So, and you know, all this just, Tony, if you would come forward, that would be great. All of this has just transpired. Nothing planned, nothing that it's just has unfolded before us, and the timing is just played out. And we came here completely independent of that, but what an opportunity to recognize fellow Rotarian. And I know it's not $1 million coin, but do accept this Rotary coin in recognition of that. Also, talking about timing, just in the mail yesterday, received Tony's Paul Harris +8. Just came in the mail yesterday. So talk about timing. So when Wes came in and it came in the mail and he handed it to me, I had chills, just like I have chills now, because the timing is so incredible. And I want to present you with your Paul Harris +8 and the tremendous contributions to Rotary. So, do you want to make a comment, or you have anything? Here, come to the mic.
I believe in the CADE. I'd always planned to have the CADE in my will, but considering the needs that we have these days with COVID, I thought it was time just to give it right now. So I'm pleased that I had this opportunity to step up when there was the need. And I think that they're doing a fantastic job. And just look at the building. The people have the artistic sense. I actually like another aspect about the CADE other than inventing. And that is, I think it celebrates the individual, which is very dear to me. That's my message.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to have Tony stay because I also thought it would be very fitting if he would help me. We have the induction of 3 members today. And the reason I say very fitting is because these 3 members not only have worked to make this location possible, but have desired to be members of our great club. And so at this time, I am going to ask Stephanie Bells as the executive president and executive director, Jen Ostis, senior director of operations, and Phil Waite, finance director here at the CADE. If they 3 would come forward. And as I said, we have the opportunity for 3 new great Rotarians today for our club. And so, fellow Rotarians, as president of the Rotary Club of Gainesville, it's my privilege and pleasure to formally induct and welcome new members into our service organization. The individuals that stand before us today have indicated their willingness, interest, and determination to enhance the quality of life in our shared community, state, nation, and world. And they're doing that here on a daily basis as well. Through their involvement in Rotary Club of Gainesville, and by extension, their involvement in Rotary International, they will have this opportunity to do bigger and greater things. I now ask all Rotarians in this room to show support of this new member by standing, and those on Zoom are welcome to stand as well. We're watching, some people are. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise. The Rotary Club of Gainesville has been serving this community continuously since 1918. By coming before us today, you have shown your commitment to helping continue the work of Rotary by embracing the ideal of putting service above self. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all as a member of the Rotary Club of Gainesville. I encourage each of you to become a very active Rotarian and to become fully involved in the service and fellowship activities of this organization. And I promise one day we're going to have a lot more fellowship. I now present each of you with a Rotary pin and Rotary membership certificate. Congratulations and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you for the, and Tony, thank you for the help, sir. Welcome. All right, so we're growing. Good stuff, good stuff. Looking, and not to delay our speaker any longer, but real quick, I noticed in the chat, trying to keep up with things, that you know, our speaker, Dr. Brown, not only do you have the big boss watching in today, but the chief of police, visiting Rotarian Ed Book from the Wednesday Club watching. So many eyes for this great presentation today. So with that said, I'm going to hand the meeting over to Jenny Van Hart for the introduction of today's speaker. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Naima Claire Brown was raised in Philadelphia, PA. She moved to Florida in 1990 to attend Florida A&M University, where she earned her bachelor's degree in sociology. From there, Naima went on to earn both a master's and a doctoral degree from the University of Florida. Santa Fe College hired her as a professor of sociology in 2000, and as a faculty member, she was instrumental in internationalizing the marriage and family curriculum. With the support of the college, Dr. Brown traveled to Africa, Europe, South America, Asia, and the Middle East to learn and teach about cultural differences. In 2013, she took on the role of Vice President for Student Affairs and now leads a team that is focused on increasing access, improving support, advancing success, and creating equity for Santa Fe students. In her downtime, Naima enjoys playing Scrabble, reading novels, supporting community theatre, and traveling abroad. Well, out of the 4 things she listed, she could probably do 2 right now. She can play Scrabble and read books, but theatre and traveling abroad, we just have to live vicariously right now. It is with much pleasure that I introduce Naima. I've heard her speak before, and I figured that now is a good time to remind ourselves how to be romantic in preparation so that on the 14th, those of us in relationships don't screw up. Over to you, Naima.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes? All right, great. So the topic today is, why did I get married? This is a pre-Valentine's Day refresher for you. Those of you who are in relationships, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And this is a day that in this culture, we set aside to celebrate marriage, love, and romance. And so, oh, I need to share my screen. Wait, sorry. I said, I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it right. Okay, so you see the screen, and our topic is, why did I get married? This is a pre-Valentine's Day refresher for you. And the objectives are just for you, so that by the end of this presentation, you will be reflecting on your personal motives for marriage and relationship. You will appreciate the benefits of marriage and relationship, and you will consider the reasons to celebrate your marriage and your relationship. So around the world, people have very different reasons for getting married. And when we look at the United States of America, overwhelmingly, people say, when asked the question, why did you get married? It was for love. In fact, we expect that people will say that they married for love when we ask them, and we're confused or concerned when someone tells us they're getting married and no, they don't love the person. So whether it's an agape love, which is sacrificial, I want to marry this person and take care of them, whether it's a mania love, they drive me crazy, I'm thinking about them all the time, I can't get them out of my mind, whether it's a storge love, which is that mature love that starts as friendship and blossoms into something that is long lasting, or if it's an eros love, just the passionate physical love, or even pragma, which is very practical. This is the good thing to do. There are more benefits to this. Whatever type of love people are experiencing, we see that love is a basis in this country. It is a good reason to marry, and the majority of Americans will say, I married for love. So I'm challenging you to think about, why did you get married, and be prepared to celebrate that if it's love. And in addition to love, another reason may be companionship. And especially in this time of the pandemic, having someone to share your life with, to share your innermost with. This companionship is partnership and closeness. And the companionship that we get in marriage is unlike the companionship that we get in other relationships. As close as you are to your children, to your friends, to your parents, brothers and sisters, the companionship of that partner to spend time and share one's life is a draw for getting married. And I see some of you taking notes so you can get your poems together for Valentine's Day. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. In addition to companionship, our third reason is commitment. Many people will want a marriage for that sense of commitment. And in America, when we marry, we say things like, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, until death do us part, meaning that nothing else is going to separate us. So this type of commitment or this motivation is saying, I want something that's going to stand against the time, that's going to stand against the fair weather. We're admitting to, we may experience poverty, we may experience sickness, the worst parts of our life, even a pandemic, but I'm going to be with you. So that commitment that in your worst, through the worst that life can bring, even when I'm not my best self, even when I'm my worst self, this person is committed to being with me. And so that's a draw for marriage. Just that it's something that will stand the test of time and stand the test of life, that it's going to be here until death. So that's one of the motivations for getting married. Pressure. This is actually one that many single people face. And if you're single, then you know it, because people will say to you, well, when are you going to get married? Well, when are you going to get married? Well, when are you going to get married? In this society, there is tremendous pressure. When a person reaches a certain stage in their life, it begins. And the pressure doesn't end after you get married. You think it's going to turn off, but the next question begins, well, when are you going to have children? When are you going to have children once you get married? So there's always this, but there is pressure certainly in our society, and many people succumb to the pressure. It's just, I got tired of going to the family reunions and all the family coming down on me. But that pressure may also appear just in the types of invitations you get. I want to introduce you to somebody. That's a pressure with people pushing you and pushing you to get into the marriage box. And so many people feel that pressure and make the decision to get married. Another motivation for marriage is social status. The role of husband or wife in America actually is one of prestige. It is something where we associate some respect, some admiration, because when you take on this role, you're demonstrating a sense of maturity. You're demonstrating a sense of responsibility. You're married, that means you have obligations. That means you're not as selfish or self-centered as the person who's not. There's a thing called halo effect, and this is where we associate positive characteristics with people. So that you just get it, even if you're not mature, even if you're not responsible, it comes with a role, this title or this level of prestige. So by getting married, it improves social standing, it improves social status. People see you as more stable, more responsible, more mature. And it used to be, there was a time when marriage meant this person was ready for more responsibilities in the workplace. I think our society has gone past that now, but certainly there's still that association with social status. And so there is a sense of this motivating people to get married. Moving on, parenthood. the joy of watching children grow, but doing that in a marriage. People say, I wouldn't want to be a single parent. I want to have children. I want to do it with a spouse. So this is a reason why. And it's not just the joy of watching the kids grow, it's having legacy. We're creating a family together. A part of it is from me, a part of it is from you. And this is something that's going to solidify the relationship. This is what we think in our society. We're going to have these children and share our love and watch them grow and leave the world or make the world a better place through our offspring. This is a definite motivation for getting married, to be a parent and to have a support and to be a co-parent where it's not one person carrying all the weight. And that leads us to family. Many people will marry because they want the sense of family that comes with it. It's not just husband and wife and child, but it's that larger extended family that comes. And the goal that people have of actually looking forward and seeing generations beyond. I want to grow old with you and have our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And we want to leave them a legacy in this family. And so these are motivations in our society to get married. And some of these may be the things that you want to appreciate and celebrate as you approach Valentine's Day. Next up is economic security. And especially during times of COVID, when we saw many people lose their jobs, the research shows consistently that married couples are faring better than single people because there's the built-in support. Even if one person has lost the job, the other person is able, the married couples are able to save more. They're able to put aside more for retirement. They have more in their emergency fund. They have more discretionary cash available because they're consolidating. When you've got two single people, they're both paying rent or mortgage, cable, electric, water, and those things. But when you put them in a marriage and they're living together, sharing those expenses, it certainly has an economic benefit. And it's very interesting that in this country, when we talk about economic security in marriage, people get, oh, no, you're not supposed to do that. But really, it is an economic commitment or an economic institution all around the world. You know that there are societies where there's dowry, where there's bride price. You know that people with arranged marriages, that the economics of the family are very important. And so when we talk about raising children together, the economy and how well are we going to fare definitely comes into consideration. Even if it's in the back of our mind and a little taboo to talk about, people are looking at marriage to not do worse, but to actually improve life circumstances. And another reason is actually the intimacy. I actually like this picture here because it shows a removal of the mask, a removal of the face, and somebody to really share the real me. Everywhere we go, we are playing a role and we are putting on what's required in that place. Earlier, the gentleman talked about the library and he gave a joke. What made it funny is there's an expected behavior in the library. You talk quiet. There's an expected behavior in the church, in the classroom, in the supermarket. There's expected behavior. And there's also expected behavior depending on who you are with. There's an expected behavior when the pastor's around. There's an expected behavior in front of the teacher, in front of the girlfriends or the guy friends. So we're constantly changing our behavior based on who we're around and what environment we're in. But marriage is really supposed to give us that intimacy where I can just be me with this person and be completely and fully accepted. This is the ideal that drives people to get married. And so that intimacy of just being able to share my innermost thoughts, my feelings, and not to, and to be vulnerable without putting myself in a position where I'm risking a great deal. So the intimacy of marriage is another reason. And I think we're approaching, well, there's two more. Okay, next to last is well-being. I don't know if you've seen the research, but married couples actually are healthier. They are healthier in mind and in body. So our emotional health is better and our physical health is better. And I can tell you, ladies, that often in opposite sex marriages, it's because the woman is saying, did you go to the doctor? Did you get the checkup? So that helps the health of many men who might be adverse to following doctor's instructions. But certainly married people tend to live longer and be healthier. The benefit is greater for men than for women, but it is certainly there for us. So the well-being and seeing people, and especially during this COVID, where we've been socially isolating and people being alone, and we know that that's not good for health. Social interaction, social engagement is good. And when we had many older people not being able to see any family members, it really took a toll on their health. So there is definitely well-being in the institution of marriage. And finally, personal fulfillment, just the life goal of wanting to be wife, wanting to be husband, wanting to be part of a family and fulfill these roles. This is a goal that many people aspire to. Children look up and say, I'm going to get married, even though we've seen a decline in marriage through COVID. Marriages have dropped significantly, but the marriage rate has been declining year after year after year. But even so, it is not going anywhere. People still want to get married. People are still planning to get married. It's on their to-do list, on their bucket list. They are marrying at a later age. So it used to be, oh, by 22, you're an old maid. Now 32, 36, 40, there's no age in it. It's personal fulfillment. So those are the main reasons. And I hope that in your reflections, you're thinking about your reasons and you're thinking about what your relationship offers you and the benefits, and also thinking about how you can celebrate your love, your relationship, your marriage. So I will take any questions you have, if there are any. I thank you all for allowing me to be here. I know I was here some years ago prior to Valentine's Day, the last time you had me here, and I talked about the love languages. It was just something for you to reflect on and try to improve in your individual relationship. So I'm glad to be back and to see from Santa Fe, Dr. Brody and Ed Book, and Barbara Anderson is also here representing. So any questions about our reasons for marrying?
If anyone has a question here at the Cade Museum, Don Bugos is back on duty, back in the back of the room with the wireless microphone. And we've got Stephanie Bale's going to ask a question.
It's not so much a question as it is a statement. It's really a wonderful, positive thing to hear someone speak about marriage and in such an enthusiastic way. I think oftentimes we see the news and maybe conversations with one another, and you've really given me a smile, and I appreciate that. So thank you for your passion about marriage, and I hope that translates to all of us. So,
well, thank you for saying that. And just hearing that Tommy had been married for 44 years, that was a wonderful way to kick this off, because that is fulfilling. It's fulfilling in our lives when we have marriage.
We have a question online from Jenny Van Hart. How is cohabiting or common law marriage different between the act of getting married in terms of benefits?
Well, I can tell you that with cohabiting, people are more, I can say this, it is easier to walk away in a cohabiting relationship than it is in a married relationship. And our society has set it up that way. Oftentimes, people who live together actually plan to get married, but once they move in together, they realize things about one another. This is a really interesting phenomenon because it's the belief that I can do better. See, before you live together, you don't know what you're going to get when you live together, right? So it's, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be exciting. And when you get married and move in together, everybody experiences this hardship, this time of where you've got to adjust your expectations to fit reality, because everybody goes in with some unrealistic expectations of marriage, whether it's from the media, whether it's from the family that they grew up in, whether it's from religion. The lady's gonna cook and the man's gonna take out the trash, or the husband's gonna pay the bills, whatever the expectations are. Then people realize, oh, it's not like I thought it was gonna be. So married people, once they move in, they realize, oh, well, I guess I better make it work. I already married you. But cohabitors are like, yeah, this is not what I bargained for. And so they're less likely to move forward with the actual. That was a good question. It decreases the likelihood that you'll actually go through with it, just because you've seen some things that you might not want to adjust to. Whereas married people who didn't cohabit first, they see it and they're just like, oh, well, guess I better deal with this. And everybody gets through it. It's a honeymoon period. You'll get through it.
That was awesome. It sounded like what our friends and I talked about, the grass is greener syndrome. Let's go out to the crowd. Don, who do you have next?
Yes, I want to thank you for a great presentation. And the second time you come, the first time you came, I learned why my wife talks and I learned what to do about it. So thank you so much. And secondly, let me thank you, or thirdly, after your great presentation, let me thank you for incorporating my joke into your presentation. You have elevated my status, and I appreciate it.
I'm glad to do that. Glad to do it.
I do have a question. Are there any sociological studies reflecting couples that are not married in terms of the list of things that you listed for reasons for getting married? Do they enjoy any of those benefits?
Yes, they absolutely do. The main thing is the commitment part. The commitment is not going to be on the list. That sense of till death do us part, you can leave at any time, cohabiting, and the pressure. Cohabiting couples still tend to face the pressure from society. Well, when are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? But certainly that love, that companionship, certainly they get that. The health benefits are also there just because you've got somebody, and even that sense of intimacy that I can share myself. So those benefits do go along, but not all of them are transferable. So I'm going to thank you all for allowing me to be here today. I appreciate the invitations to meet with you all and to share what I'm very passionate about.
We have one more online for you if you can take
Okay.
it. We're
yes, I can.
still 10 minutes
Sure.
till 1.
Oh, okay.
From Patrice Boyce. For true equity and social parity, do you agree that unmarried adults should be regarded as potentially responsible, mature, and selfless? Otherwise, are we not just perpetrating classism?
Absolutely, Patrice, I agree with you. And that's why I brought up the halo effect, which is just a tendency to associate. It's something that we automatically do. We're trained to do. We associate positive characteristics with certain people. Just you hear this and automatically that. But we have to stop and consider, yes, there are single people that are extremely responsible. And like I said, there are some people that get associated as being mature and responsible and not self-centered, and they're married, but they are all those things. They're immature. They're very selfish, those people, but it's just a societal trend that we associated in our mind, that it has this meaning. And there's this whole body of literature on symbolic interactionism, which means we create meanings in our mind. This is what this means. Marriage means this in this society, but that doesn't necessarily, just because we say it's a symbol of something doesn't necessarily mean it is. It just means that there's a strong association. So all of us have to be very careful and not associate one thing with another. Be careful of that.
In closing, I have a question for you. Can you share a story of maybe a married couple that you have met that have really personified and highlighted some of these great things that marriage brings to couples? And I ask that against the backdrop of my parents, who have been great examples to my sisters and me, who this year will be married 65 years.
Well, I'm going to say someone who you all know. That's Jackson and Lane Sasser, who met in high school and have had a relationship that is extended through college, and they were living apart. And then they got back together. So they loved each other in high school, but they went to separate colleges, and then they came back together and they supported each other in their goals. And both of them were committed to education. So they had something in mind, and raising the family together and making sacrifices for one another for what they thought was greater. And so their love has endured. But what is most striking to me is the friendship, the intimacy, the companionship that really strikes out. And so even in the economic sense of it, they were both, she was teaching and he was a student making sacrifice, and then it turned and he became the breadwinner and so forth. So I just think that really, they have a great story that I definitely admire.
How about a round of applause?
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Brown. What a great presentation. Many smiles and positive response here. And I scanned around through Zoom and saw many other positive smiles and great presentation. And thank you so much. I really took it to heart. I'm going to be selfish and say that I snuck away this past weekend. My wife and I, in a couple of weeks, of course, managing everything, we had to go early, but we're going to celebrate 25 years in a few weeks. So I'm excited to hear this. So, yeah, huge applause for her and recognition for what she's endured for a quarter of a century. So, please, if you can, recognize her greatly. So, yeah. So, but thank you. And you too, Dr. Brown, I will be mailing you, thank you for sharing the opportunity of love, and you will get $1 million coin as well. And I will send that to you, and I greatly appreciate again that you're here with us today. So since I already had one quote, I'm going to let someone else, I'm going to ask Cody to cue up here, and I'm going to let someone else, we're going to play a quote. And thank you, Tom, for suggesting this, and hopefully it comes through. So we're going to end today's meeting with a visual video quote.
I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you, fellow Rotarians. Have a great week.